Hello everyone. Today our new guest, Dr. Eric Dew from Silicon Valley, and he is an investor. He is a tech entrepreneur, and he has a lot of experience in the tech industry. Today we will know from him about the Silicon Valley situations, about the present business conditions, and how we can overcome from this situation. Hello, Mr. Eric Dews. How are you?
I am well.
Okay, okay. So we have actually many audience from Asia, especially Asia Pacific markets. Can I
hmm
know about you, your company, and the present situation in Silicon Valley?
Okay. So let me give you a bit of history of my background. I have a PhD in mathematics from the University of Pennsylvania. I received that several decades ago, and more recently, an MBA from the Holt International Business School. They have multiple campuses, and I had the one that is here in San Francisco. I also bachelor's degrees in both math and nuclear engineering from the University of California at Santa Barbara. So that's my academic background. I have worked at a number of high-tech companies in Silicon Valley, including Next, which became Apple. I worked at Sun Microsystems and a whole bunch of others. It's just some of them, if I named them, you wouldn't even know because they're all died out. So it's you learn a lot from working at companies that fail. That's just as
Yes,
useful as learning about from companies that succeed. Although you just don't make as much money on the failing ones. So
yes, yes, yes.
that's one thing. Uh, what else? I had my own business before, and I had it, and it was doing well. And then in 2009, the economy, cratered from the housing bubble, and a lot of my customers no longer stayed as customers. They either actually left the Bay Area or they just decided not to continue on. And so the result was that I was not earning as much money. And then I sold it to some of my employees. And then I went off and tried to do things on my own. Investing and such, and I learned from that by having lost a lot of money by investing in things and lost a lot of money. And again, you learn a lot more from failure, I think, from success, because success has multiple reasons and you don't know why. It could be luck, it could be a whole bunch of things. But when you fail, you can pretty much pinpoint one or two main reasons why you failed. I forgot to do this. Didn't read this notice. Things like that become very clear, and you learn and you don't do those things again. That's what you learn when you fail. When you succeed, you might forget to do those things. You kind of like go over and forget it. But the next time, it might come up again, and then you fail, and then you go like, "What the hell happened?" And then that's where you get in trouble. So. So right now I am working, primarily I'm working with a startup. We are about to launch, hopefully within the week, maybe by Tuesday. Monday here in the United States, Monday is Memorial Day, so there's no work. It's a federal holiday. So Tuesday will be first day back to work for some people. And these are people who are already allowed to come back to work. Is that okay? There's some
Yes,
weird
yes, yes, yes,
reverb or
yes. No
something.
problem.
Okay. All right. So these are people who are already allowed to go back to work because they're not working in close proximity with other people. So they are allowed to go back to work, and we're providing a software solution for them. And basically, we're going to start knocking on doors, getting them to start using it, hopefully by Tuesday. But if it's not this week, definitely by June 1st. So we're moving as quickly as possible to get it done by June 1st. So that's my primary activity right now. As far as what you were asking about, how is Silicon Valley dealing with, I guess you're asking about the pandemic and how we're dealing with it. Um, First, the most apparent thing is that we are no longer doing in-person meeting with people. Almost everything is done now on Zoom in terms of pitches and what else. Almost everything is done online or phone calls. Nobody's actually meeting and shaking hands. That's not happening. And I think going forward, this is becoming the standard, and people probably will prefer this. So we don't have to going forward to do pitches, because it's time consuming, right? If you you're in Malaysia, but here in San Francisco Bay Area, we're pretty close by. We have San Francisco, San Jose, and San Jose is only about 40 miles south. That's about about 60, 70, what is it? Yeah, about 70 kilometers away. And but the traffic and everything is such a hassle that if people can avoid doing it, they would. So first thing that's the most apparent is that people are going to be using online services like Zoom to do a lot of their presentations and pitches. Secondly, there has been, I've noticed, a rush of various panaceas, solutions to the pandemic, drugs or whatever, this on the other. And I think all of those are just all bullshit. They're just because, if you're not involved in this kind of space, if you're not in immunology, if you're not in virology, if you're not in any of these things, and you claim to have a solution, nobody's going to believe you. And nobody's going to fund this. This is just ridiculous, right? And if you are in it, you would not come to investors and pitch about it. You would go and talk directly to the NIH, to the CDC. Those are the people that you should be talking to, not to investors. Investors will not be going for that because it's too much of a risk. And we know, because chances are, if you have a vaccine, chances are it won't work. It's not that simple, right? So, and for them to make these pitches, and I saw it, I was attending a pitch event, and there's like 3 or 4 of them had various things related to a solution, and I was just rolling my eyes listening to them. I go, that's not possible. And if it is, don't come to us. That's the thing. As far as other things, part of the problem is that the U.S. government has been making so many weird changes in terms of tax cuts and different taxation formulas and these stimulus packages, and all these things are happening left and right that people don't know what to do. They don't know, should I hold that money? Should I invest in something? Is there a tax break that's worthwhile? They don't know. So because things are coming at investors hard and fast, and we don't know what is the right thing to do in terms of best utilizing the money. What people, that is, insofar as what they're looking for in terms of technology to invest in the long run, people are still doing that. And I have mentioned to you by email about some ideas that we feel going forward will be happening, which is more automation, technology and automation, because what's happening, the outcome of this pandemic is going to forever change the way business is going to be done, right? Stores will not allow the density of people to be walking inside anymore, even after the pandemic is over, because what's going to happen when the next one comes in? How do you keep track? How do you minimize it? All these kind of things. Dining, restaurants will not allow the density that they're currently allowed right now. Right now, or before the pandemic, I can sit in a table, inches away from someone sitting next to me, some stranger sitting next to me. And, that person, could go like this and cough and nobody cares. Now, the moment somebody coughs, we all walk up and we leave the restaurant. That's what's going to happen. Nobody's going to stay there. And restaurants can't take that hit. They cannot lose that kind of revenue. And so if they lose half the floor space for spacing, then they have to make up with more delivery. And they cannot have the more delivery if businesses like Grubhub and Uber Eats and all these other ones take a 40% cut. So they have to have something where autonomous vehicles can come in, which the restaurants can own. So the restaurant can own it, and maybe not a single restaurant will own each one. It could be a collective, right? Multiple restaurants can come in and they can purchase one for, let's say $100,000. Okay, for $100,000 amortized over 10 years, that's $10,000 a year. 10 restaurants, that's $1,000 a year average. Let's say, just throwing some ballpark numbers. That's a sustainable model for them. They can use that, and and that's a big enough device. It can store enough food, and make the rounds in a neighborhood to distribute the delivery, and then come back and pick up another round and go on. So those are things that will be sustainable in the future. The Uber Eats model is definitely not sustainable because nobody wants to pay 40%, and then they also take from the buy side too. They also take a fee from their customers as well. So both the customers and the restaurant pay to Uber Eats to use the service. I don't blame Uber, I'm just using them as an example. They're all the same, and they're all taking up a lot of income for doing that, and nobody wants to deal with them. So those are things that are looking as opportunities. As you know, disruptions occur for all sorts of reasons, and every time a disruption occurs, opportunities arise. And the question is, who is going to jump on it first, and who can maximize it the most? Right now, there are two competing groups. One are this is scammers. The scammers always come in, and hopefully we can weed those out. Okay, but the genuine people that are coming in will be the ones that have really good ideas, and will try to execute on those. And those are the ones in the technology space and help, autonomize certain things and reduce costs. I mean, that's the whole point, is that you want to reduce costs for everyone to allow certain things to happen that would be too expensive otherwise.
Okay. Actually, I have a lot of questions actually from your discussions.
Sure.
So hopefully this will be a very interesting session for our audience because of your experience, your versatile knowledge and everything. I have first question because I am also finishing my PhD. Most of the people in Asia, after finishing their PhD and they go for the academic lines, and this is very safe. Like you engage with the universities and everything. How which you choose this challenging path as an entrepreneur, and you saw a lot of ups and downs and a lot of experience. What's the reason? Yes.
How was the reason I chose to not
Yes,
stay
yes,
in academia?
yes,
Well, I
yes,
didn't
yes.
really choose it. I didn't get a position, so I had to go do something else. I didn't choose to get out of it. I was very much intending to. A PhD in math is really very much in, going in the route of academics, right? I mean, almost everybody who gets a PhD in math, almost, not everyone, stay in academics as a professor somewhere. And that was my intention as well. But the year that I got my PhD and the circumstances and all that sort of made things difficult. And I was not one to get a position in academia. And in hindsight, I'm actually glad that I didn't. Because I do see some of the people who are in academia, and I'm just going, like, really, come on, and it's actually, you asked a very interesting question, because earlier this year in February, end of February, I went back to UC Santa Barbara to participate in a discussion exactly about what you're asking right here, which is, beyond academics, what do people in graduate schools, rather, whether they're getting a master's, a PhD, or a postdoc, what can they do besides academics? Because a lot of them, they are wondering, because I don't know how it is in other Asian countries and in European countries as well. But here in the United States, there are just no positions available. Okay, far too many people are getting graduate degrees, both masters and PhDs, but primarily let's talk about PhDs, and there are no positions for them. They might get a research position, which is not a professorship position, but some research position, which may or may not have tenure, but in a way, they just get a full-time job and they just stay on with no tenure of any sort. No job guarantee, but in some fields, they can last a lifetime. And the good thing about it is that if you enjoy the research, you keep doing it. And if you're good at it or reasonably good at it, you get paid. And those are primarily in some of the science fields, right? People who do things in high energy physics and things of that sort, they know how to build these devices very well. And they know exactly how to machine them, how to how to align them, and all these other things. And they become invaluable because of their expertise in that. And they get hired and they stay along for the ride for as long as they can. And that's one type. But for things like mathematicians and some other research people, there are just not enough positions available. And the discussion I had when I was back at UC Santa Barbara was, well, what do you do? And we told them that, so there was a bunch of other PhDs who are not in academics, and we told them, hey, there's a big world out there, and you really should consider it. And we gave some very elegant examples. Some of the examples we gave is Angela Merkel, who is the Chancellor of Germany. She has a PhD, and her first job in politics was basically stuffing mailers, and that was her first job, is to stuff envelopes, and she went from stuffing envelopes becoming Chancellor of Germany. So you can do that. Brian May is another. He is a PhD in astrophysics, and he's a guitarist for Queen. They're still around. Freddie Mercury has passed away, but Queen's still around. So, he has a PhD. And so there's another hard rocker. I forgot his name. But, there's a whole bunch of people who have PhDs who or at least graduate degrees who are not working in academia. And they do wonderful things that they do. And part of the thing is really to follow your passion. And and that's one of the things that I was, telling them is you need to take that brave step. You got to take that step to get out, okay? But there will be people that will be helping you and guiding you along. But the most important thing is that you have to show passion in what you want to do, because that passion will sustain you. If you don't like what you're doing, then you won't be doing it. Okay, but if you are, when you get a PhD in whatever you're doing, supposedly, and I can't say this for sure for everyone, but supposedly you're enduring that process of, doing the oral exams and writing the thesis and doing the research and all these other stuff. You're doing all these work because you love what you're doing. Okay, because you ain't getting paid. Okay, you're getting paid to get paid. Generally, it's the other way around. You either pay or you pay somehow in one way or another, and you're doing it because you have a love for knowledge. That's what philosophy is, right? Philosophies, love for knowledge. You love what you're doing, and you show it, and then you continue on with it. But you have to extrapolate that from love of what you did for that particular topic that you get your thesis in, to generalize it to a love or a new topic, perhaps. And you have to be flexible in pivoting to a new topic, and love to learn a new topic. Some people, they do something in a particular field, okay, and they try to milk that knowledge that they gained from that field, and they try to milk that for as long as they can. And that may work. That may work depending on what you do. But sometimes it won't. Okay. Sometimes you do you do a research and something, and you may get a PhD thesis out of it, but it's a dead end. Okay. Or if it's not a dead end, it's not the most wonderful, shocking thing in the world or anything like that. And you got to leave it at that and move on. And sometimes you need to learn when to do that. And that's where having mentors, both from within the department and from within that space, that that field, whether it's math for me or physics or whatever it is, to have mentors from there and also mentors from outside who can tell you and be willing to listen to it. I was a little bit hard-headed when I was a young PhD person. I thought, hey, I have a PhD, I'm the smartest person in the world, that kind of a thing. And we do that. A lot of people with PhD, they get big-headed and they think that they know everything. And if I were to tell my younger self, I would go slap and say, you don't have a big head. You're just as dumb as you were before you had your PhD.
Okay.
You really don't have that much more intelligence. Okay. So listen to some people and, certainly take it with a grain of salt. People don't know you that well. They'll give you their knowledge, their experience, and then you have to apply that to your situation to see whether it makes sense. But don't discard it offhand. Take that information and really use it.
Yes, very interesting, very interesting. Because in Asia, in Malaysia especially, we have many academic peoples, so they can learn from your experience. Actually, even in my university, I have many friends from around Asia and Europe. They can get your guideline. Actually, now in present situation, like what's the condition of the Asian peoples in San Francisco? What the situation, what they're doing, because people has to want to know about that.
Well, there actually my most in-depth knowledge of anything is actually from my occasional browsing of Facebook to hear about what's happening in the Asian community in San Francisco. I live close to Chinatown, and I do walk by it, but I don't really see the problem people claim they have, which is being some discrimination, outright attacks, and all these. I don't see any of that. Everything is pretty much back to normal. San Francisco is a little bit more. The people in San Francisco are pretty more right thinking about it. I mean, they're understanding. Almost everyone I see is wearing a mask. Okay. Nobody's being a real ass and demanding to be served things and whatever without wearing a mask. Nobody's doing that. The Chinese people in San Francisco have worn masks far more often for longer. I've been seeing them, since I've been living here in San Francisco a decade ago. I've seen a number of, Chinese people, wear masks on a daily basis. For the longest time, and so it's just that number has multiplied from 5-10% to 99%, and non-Chinese people, they're also wearing masks. Everybody's being smart. They're understanding why they're doing this. But as far as the discrimination, it's all hearsay. I don't experience it myself, and I have not firsthand seen the examples. I just hear about it, read about it, but I don't see it. And for sure, violence occurs, assaults occur, people yelling at other people occur. That's always going to happen, but I don't see it as a trend of any sort, and which I think is a good thing. We'll see what happens as we go along, because the longer we drag out this shelter in place. So I've been doing it since March 16th, so mid-March. So we've been 2 months and a little bit. The only thing I do is I go out to buy groceries and occasionally take a walk. I don't go out to restaurants. There's no restaurants to go out to. Although now some restaurants are opening up, and so what I've been doing for the last month, I've been volunteering with a group here in North Beach. We've been helping restaurants by delivering food for them for free. So rather than have them pay through the nose for the Uber Eats and the Grubhub and all those things, we deliver for them. And for the first few months, we've been doing it by foot. We'll just carry it and walk it to someplace and hand it over. But the last few days, the last few deliveries, we've been offered e-bikes, and the e-bikes are great. They're just wonderful. They can go up to all the steep hills in San Francisco with no problem. And it's a joy to take them and just zoom around San Francisco delivering food. So I enjoy doing that, and we've been helping restaurants. And what we're trying to do is understand the process and then seeing how we can, again, as we've been talking to you, how to automate. So my goal has always been how do we do it by hand? And then once you understand how you do it by hand, then we automate. And that's the process. That's the process of humanity going all the way back to the time the first, prehistoric man ripped down a branch from a tree and then made it into a spear. Once you figure that out, then you learn how do you make 10 spears? How do you make 100 spears? And then you automate, and well, they don't automate back then, but you try to do things in the most economical way, whichever way it may be. And the process that you do back then is the same process that we follow now. So,
okay, very interesting. I have another question is that, I think this is the question from our audience as well. Silicon Valley is a big knowledge hub. They have a lot of innovations, a lot of creativity, a lot of contributions around the world, especially development of the civilizations. My specific question is that how actually Asian people and immigrant people, they actually integrated with this process, or what type of challenges you faces, or how you contribute for this kind of things, for this innovation.
There's a number of ways. Well, Silicon Valley is one of maybe 2 or 3 places around the world which we consider as what we call an innovation cluster, right? It combines large companies, the big corporations, the Oracles and the Googles and Apples and so forth. Many higher education institutions like Stanford, UC Berkeley, San Jose State, which is a very good school for training people for programming and other things. University of Santa Clara University. We have in the Bay Area over 160 higher education institutions. Like I said, colleges and universities. Here in San Francisco, we have USS, University of San Francisco State, a whole bunch of other universities. So so you have that, you have money, you have the investor group, and then you have the professional class. The professional class are the ones that help connect all these separate entities, help them connect them. They're the attorneys, they're the accountants, there are people like me who are essentially professional connectors, right? And all these other people who are people supply chains, right? We are supply chains for people, so that if you know someone that you can help them, connect them to a certain place or to a certain business, then that's what they can help provide. As far as for the Asians, there's no, they don't care. Okay, they're not saying, oh, okay, he's Asian, so he must blah blah blah. Okay, you could be an Asian, you could be a Caucasian, you could be someone from Africa, or you can be someone from Europe. But hey, you have a connection to China, you can speak the language, and you know so and so. That's good enough for us. We don't care about your racial background. We care about what you can do. Okay, I mean, really, in a sense, it is a meritocracy. Although, what does happen is that when people see you, they look at you and they size you up and they go, oh, okay, Eric, he's Asian, so he must be a tech guy. Things like that. They have that kind of initial sizing up of things. But, after, 30 minutes of talking or even 5-10 minutes of talking, they understand, oh, okay, you do this instead. Then they understand and they can, they'll use you in that way, in that capacity. So just as long as you know what you have, what you can offer, there will be people that can take advantage and be happy to utilize you to for mutual benefit. They're not gonna pass you off because you're Asian, or assume that you will be able to do a certain thing and you can, then they ignore you or something like that. They'll use you for whatever you have. So.
Yes, very
And there
interesting.
are lots of opportunities. There's lots of opportunities. Very small little niches can occur, and people who can come in, if you have some ability to do certain things, you can scale that very quickly and amplify it. It's like a transistor, right? A little bit of energy, a little bit of power there. You turn on the switch, and boom, you get this huge gain. And that's the transistor model works just as well with humans. Is that you can be that transistor and help provide that huge gain.
Very interesting. Just we have more question. Like example,
Sure.
like now we are facing a lot of challenge, especially for the business around the world, everywhere. They are facing a lot of challenge. So in Silicon Valley, they have a lot of startup, lot of tech company. Actually, what's the futures? What's going on? What your predictions? Like for economical perspective? Yes.
It's far too hard to make a prediction now. I mean, I would say, 6 months ago, back in November, if you asked, I would have given you some predictions. But now, I mean, that whatever trend line that we had there is just completely just gone off, and I don't even know which direction has gone. And part of the thing is I'm sort of holed up. I'm sheltering in place, and I don't get as much noise, and I'm not hearing the rumors. I'm not hearing the murmurs from other people that I normally get from being out, talking and meeting with other people, and I just haven't been doing that, and so I'm just not getting that all that, here. I'm not hearing it, and the one or two times I've been to Zoom meetings of the sort, it's just like I said, most of the things I'm hearing, and I'm just going, this is just pure scam, and we can't, when we're listening to these things, we don't go outright and, we don't get to buzz the person and say, this is a scam, buzz, and then, kick him out. We can't say things like that. We got to like nod and say, okay, and then just ignore them afterwards. But it's, things are all over the map, and I don't have an answer for you in what we are having right now. What I'm doing mostly is to try to help in the short term, right? What are the needs that I recognize? For example, PPEs, right? Personal protective equipment, and we've been talking about this. There are certain needs in various industries, in particular in the healthcare field, and also in the essential workers, people in the essential working space that are, basically the grocery store people and the restaurant worker people, the bus drivers and all that. They need their personal protection equipment, but it doesn't have to be at the same level of personal protection as medical profession people have. So a regular mask or typical non-N95 type mask should suffice for some of these people. So I'm in contact, trying to contact the people who are looking to buy. I haven't found them. Maybe I need to talk to some more. But my immediate contacts have driven me to a dead end, and so I have to reach out some different ways they find them. So I'll be finding that. But and also at the same time, I'm talking about the restaurant. The restaurant industry is definitely going through change, and if they are not aware of it, they better be, knowing that, when this is all over, let's say in September or even January of next year, it will not be the same, and they have to prepare for it. And so one of the things I do while I am helping doing the deliveries and all that is talk to the restaurant owners to kind of get a sense of how they see the future, and whether they understand what it may be. And unfortunately, a lot of them are just too they paint a much more rosy picture. They really think that things will go back to normal, and I don't know if that's going to happen. You know, 6 months of staying at home, people don't want to go out. You know, because they know that when they go out, they go to a bar, they're going to pay, $8 for a bottle of beer that they bought a 6-pack for the same amount. And then they're going to go like, why am I paying $8 when I can get a 6-pack for the same amount? And then they go, and I had fun. I had my friends over and we had drinks at my place, and I can buy a 6-pack for $8, not one bottle for $8. So, and the fear that, while they're out there, they might get, pick up a infection or something like that. Who wants that kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
As you are tech guy and you are professional connectors, and you have a lot of experience. So in that situation, like, what is the future of biotech industry? What you are thinking right now? And specifically, many people has questions about vaccine. What's your perspective about the vaccine?
Well, I'm not a doctor, and everything I have everything I know is basically the various journal articles that I read, from wherever I see that, and I certainly don't search out paper version of these things, right? I mean, I can't go to the library anymore, right? The library's closed, so the only thing I see is online versions of these things, and so I have no expertise in technology. I have some friends who are in there, and that's about it. My understanding is that, specifically with this particular virus, the coronavirus, it's a corona, meaning it has this round thing with the little thing sticking out. It has a similar shape to the common cold. The rhinovirus, which is the common cold, has a similar shape. And given that we don't have a vaccine for the rhinovirus, we don't have a vaccine for the common cold, it may be that this thing may not have a vaccine either. And typical of creating vaccines is that, you try 900 times and you fail 899 times, and then finally you get one. So it's just a race, and you just try and you try and you try, and you fail and you fail and you fail, and you go on and on and on. And then you have to test. All I know is that any statement that I see on a Facebook or in a news article, especially like on a Facebook or anything of that sort, saying we have something that is working, I automatically discount that, because the first place that should be printed on should not be on a Facebook. It should be in a journal. And in a journal, they will never, ever say we have a solution. It would never come like that. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Right? I mean, there's a certain protocol for the way various scientists, they write in a certain way. It's just that people interpret what they write in a way that makes it good, for good journal. Well, I don't know. I don't consider it good journalism. I actually consider it bad journalism. But for clickbaits and all these other stuff, and they say, "Oh, we have a solution." And another one is where they say it's 100% effective. There's nothing 100% effective. You cannot be. There's no such thing as 100% effective. So anytime they say 100% effective, then I discount that as not true. I mean, I'm not saying it's not effective, but I'm just saying is that it cannot be 100% effective, and you have to read to understand what they're saying. And of course, you have to do the test. Doing the test takes time. You have to do. You cannot. There is a reason why the CDC and the FDA and others have this 3-phase program. You do a phase 1, then you do a phase 2, then you do a phase 3, and the whole thing technically takes at least 6 to 10 years. But for certain things like this virus, where the threat is so imminent that we may expedite at least worrying about dealing with the phase 3. So phase 1 is, does this supposed vaccine kill you? Okay, that's the valley of death. You inject it and people go, animals, and then it survives. An animal survives, and then you go, well, what happens if you inject a human being? You inject a human being, and they go, okay, they didn't die. Okay, good. All right, it passed phase 1. That's basically phase 1. Phase 2 is the efficacy, right? Does it work? Do you need 2 cc's, 10 cc's, 5? Do you take it once a week, once a day? What is it? How do you do it? And so that's phase 2. And then you have to do a double blind with a placebo and all these other stuff with the same group, a test group and a control group, preferably about 100, samples in each, at least maybe 500, something of that sort. And then you have to do that, and then you have to monitor them through this situation. Luckily, this virus has basically a 3 to 4 week period of activity, right? If you get it and you show the symptoms and all that, then the virus runs its course. Your illness runs a course over 3 or 4 weeks, and then you either die or you live. Okay, and most people live. Okay, they may be severely impacted afterwards. They may have organ damage and difficulty breathing for the rest of their lifetime. Okay, but that's still better than dead. Okay, so I don't know what the number is for those who have it. If you're infected, I think it's somewhere around 3%, however you want to measure. Whatever the case is, those who die, you want to say, well, how many of those would not have died, right? And then you have to do the sample and all these other stuff, and then you do the testing, and then hopefully you show a market decrease to say, hey, this vaccine may seem to work, or something like that. Okay, but that takes at least, you have to do it. You have to do multiple trials, right? So yes, you may get an answer for one cohort after 4 weeks, and then you check again with the second cohort that you started 2 days later, and then another 2 days later, another 2 days later. So you have multiple cohorts you do with this vaccine. If you have the quantity, first of all, right? You may not have the quantity, so you have to build enough of that. All these things take time, and then you have to at least 6 months or so. And then at the same time, you have to test at least the beginning stages of phase 3, which is, are there any negative long-term effects? Right. So, if you take this vaccine, it might make you survive, but it causes you to grow a third eye or something like that. That's not good. So what are the certain side effects? And that may not occur until maybe a year out or 2 years out. Right. Things like that have to be studied. And we may expedite that because of the urgency. To get to the final FDA approval, if that's true. But whatever it is happening. It takes a long time. I have no understanding of, what are all the details that's happening. I just read the articles and just cross my fingers and hope that things will happen eventually. I personally think that the thing to do is just get everybody sheltered in place for 3 weeks. And then those who have the infection will have it run its course, and they either live or die. And those who don't will live on. And after 3 weeks, then there's no more carriers of the virus. The virus will die because there are no more people passing it on. If you have it, it's gone out of your system. If you still survive, it's gone out of your system because it's done. Okay, the virus is no longer infectious. If you're dead, then of course the virus is in your body and it's not going anywhere because you can't cough it out. You can't do anything to get it out of your body, so you're dead. Those are the two cases, and once that happens, it's done. And if we can just have everybody stay at home for 3 weeks to a month and get it over with, then we'll be back to normal. But we can't because we had some indecisions at the beginning, and now it's too late. It's too late. I mean, you can't. Back in the beginning of February, when it really literally was 15 cases and no deaths, if you lock those 15 people up, and also all the people do the immediate contact tracing, and then have those 15 people and all the people that they may have come in contact with and all that. Maybe 2,000, 10,000 people total. Get them locked out, for 4 weeks. 30 days. Okay, that is not even quarantine. Quarantine is 40 days, right? So 30 days. Have them locked up for 30 days. We would have been back. We would have not experienced anything. I mean, of course, it would have to be done worldwide, right? I mean, all the other countries have to follow suit. But typically, other countries are still supposedly looking to the United States for leadership, and if that was led by the United States, others would have followed. Okay, and they would have done the same thing. But because we didn't show leadership and we kind of like squandered it and we didn't do anything, and other places kind of like floundered and they're not sure what to do and everything happened, we made the opportunity. Now we have, worldwide, well over 5-6 million people infected, which means there may be another 10 million who may or may not be infected, but may have, they're not infected, they may have virus either in them, but not in a large enough quantity to have grown, or they're on their skin or something like that, and if they're touching something or whatever, who knows what, right? I don't know. I don't know, all the different mechanisms for this virus to pass from one to another. So we're at that stage. And we have people who are just refusing to put on a mask, refusing to, wash their hands and all these sort of stuff, and just defiantly refusing, right? Not just being lazy or they're actually walking up to people and coughing at people as a defiant act. Yeah, just like so.
Yes, it's actually very valuable for us. Most important thing is that, as I know you are a culturally very enriched person, we want to know about the Silicon Valley cultures, about the music, about food. We want to know about the cultural things as well, because you are expert on these things.
Music and the music.
Yes.
One of the things, obviously, because of this, we don't have any live music venues anymore. Here's the thing. People are figuring out how to entertain themselves through online, Zoom type things. And I say, you guys should do it too. Figure it out yourself. Don't wait for Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is not innovation hub in the sense of people here actively doing innovation. I mean, certainly we are doing that. What makes Silicon Valley is that people are doing innovation everywhere else, and they come to Silicon Valley to make what they've done become big, to become profitable, become the next Facebook, the next Google, or whatever it is. People aren't coming to Silicon Valley to start innovating. They're innovating wherever they are, in your country and other countries. The thing is that they don't have the wherewithal in those other countries. They don't have the wherewithal in those other countries to scale up. They don't have the laws to help the startups. They don't have the funding that is more startup, more beneficial to startups. The terms that investors give to startups are not very nice in Silicon Valley, but they're a hell of a lot nicer than what you get in Europe and perhaps in China and other countries. The terms here, they ask for your firstborn here in Silicon Valley. It's not easy to deal with the terms, but other countries it's even worse. So to that extent, people come to Silicon Valley because the terms are better. They're not great, but they're better. Okay, and because we are an innovation cluster, we actively help them grow. We help them get connected to businesses that can use their product or service. We help them connect to learn from others on how to connect to the general populace if they're a a B2C kind of a company, right?
Mhm.
So the innovation still starts at home in whatever
Mhm.
country they are. And do that, make your Zoom game that will be fun and engaging that people do. I saw one, which is bingo. Bingo. Bingo is it's a card with random numbers and bingo, and so there's a caller. The caller would go B17, and you look at the B column, and you have a 17. You put a marker on there, and then G8, and then you have an eight on there. G, you put an 8, and if you get a 5 across or 5 diagonal or whatever, shout out bingo, and you run over there, you hand it the card, and they give you money or something like that. That's bingo. It's like an old folk home game. But now they have a Zoom bingo where someone would ask a question, and everybody in your Zoom, you have it in the multi-screen format. Everybody whoever answers truthfully or yes or whatever will raise their hand, and then if you get 5 across or 6 across, whatever it is, and then you go bingo, I got mine, and you tell all the people that got it, and then you win something. It's a fun game that you can
Mhm.
do playing Zoom, and
Mhm.
those are things that you can only do using Zoom. You can't do that in real life. It's not fun doing that in a bar, but you can do this in this setting. We've been doing trivia games on Zoom, and uh, where you try to answer various things, and you can type it in, or you can shout it out first, or however you want to play it. And I forgot the name of the software. It's an online game where there's a clock involved. So you have to answer. The first to answer, you get a higher point. If you answer correctly, it's a multiple choice, A, B, D, right? So you click on which one you choose. You can answer correctly, but if you answer quickly as well, you get more points. So things like that. Things like that you cannot do in real life
Mhm.
because you can't time it that way and all that. Okay, I mean you can do it in real life, but you'll be playing it on a screen next to each other, and the things. So, but it might as well just play it on screen at home. You don't need to
Mhm.
be at the place, and that's the going forward. And I think these are great opportunities. Like I said, disruption. Here it is. We can't meet people in real life. We can't meet people face to face. Here's the opportunity. Build something that's fun, that's engaging, that people want to do. Test it out with your friends. Make changes until you go like, boy, I had the greatest time in the world doing this game. Okay. Then come to Silicon Valley and figure out how to monetize.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
that's where Silicon Valley helps, is to figure out how to help you monetize things like that. You figured out a game, we'll figure out how to monetize. So you may actually have that, so that's another thing too. Some people already figured out how to monetize. Then we'll help figure out how we can help you get, how to quickly scale and get 1 million users to 10 million to 100 million to 1 billion users as quickly as possible. Things like that.
Mhm.
So
Very interesting.
yeah, it's an opportunity. Opportunities
Yes.
here. Don't
Yes.
sit back and wonder. Just go and do it.
Yes.
The
Very
barrier.
interesting.
Here's the beauty. The barrier of entry is so low, right? Anybody can write code. Well, not everybody, but most people can write code. And if you can't write code, there are no code software available that's literally free. It's
Mhm.
free online. You go online and you can get no code software where you drag and drop. You drag a button, you drag this, you label what the button is, you tell what the button to do. No writing code. You just draw that and that's it. And then after 20 minutes, you have a basic game or whatever you have, and then use that and make that happen. And that's there. You got it
Mhm.
going.
Mhm.
So that's the next generation, and then make it happen. And good luck going at it.
Yes. Very interesting. Very interesting. Actually, these
Mm-hmm.
discussions. Like I have another questions from here. It's like from Asia Pacific, from Malaysia. What's your advice for different kind of startups, entrepreneurs, and business organizations? Like what will be the global situation, because everything shut down? What will be the globalization, global business, and what's your advice for the Asia Pacific market?
Well, I think right now there's a problem, right? We have a problem. Things are not getting done and all that. Problems beget solutions. Solutions create problems, new problems, of course. New problems beget new solutions. New solutions beget new problems, and that's the engine that has created wealth for the whole of human civilization. You figure out a problem. How do I get food? Solution, farming. New problems, pests. How do I stop the pests? Netting, new solution, netting. New problem, how do I make nets? New solution, have net manufacturers. And the net manufacturers come in and they build the nets and all that. And then you go like, oh, how do I deal with animals that go underneath the net? Oh, we have this, and it's ongoing. It's this ongoing solution. So now is a great opportunity. And it's actually even better now because everything is stopped, right? There's a standstill for a lot of things. The regular way of doing things have stopped for the most part, at least here in the United States. I don't know how it is in other countries. I think Taiwan is back to normal, I think. And I don't know if it's that case in Malaysia, but whatever kind of a stop, that's your breather for you to say, okay, other people have stopped. Let me step on the accelerator and zoom. What are the things that I see as a problem? How can I do it? Okay. And this is a great time. Meet with people, with like-minded people. Meet with people who can contribute in one way or another, right? And then just say articulate what the problem is. That's very important, because what usually happens when I see in teams that when team members don't understand the problem in the same way, then different people have different ideas of how to solve it. Okay, if you can properly describe what the problem and you have to distill it, right? Sometimes the problem is something, but you have to distill it to the real crux of what really is the problem. And then when you can get it to that stage of figuring out what the real problem is, then it's very easy to solve it, because then it becomes clear. And you solve it, then then move on, and implement it and make it happen. Okay, this is the reason why I've been working with this one startup. The problem is that people were still using paper documents. Okay, they've been using paper documents forever for this particular process, and the only innovation that's happened in the last 200 years, literally, probably, is carbon copies. That's it. They've moved from single page documents or multiple versions of the same thing where they have the sign on multiple sheets to one sheet, a carbon copy, 5 copies or something like that. And they can tear off that copy and hand it over to one person, tear out another copy and hand it to another person. That's the only innovation. And that innovation occurred, I don't know, perhaps in the 1970s, 1980s. And that's it. And they have not moved forward. And what we're doing is moving forward to the next generation, which is digital. To say, hey, you don't have to write this by hand. You can type it on your phone, and then you can email it to the people that you have previously handed by hand, because nobody wants to touch the paper anymore. It's just, who knows where it came from, right? You hold on to it, you go like this, and you hand the paper, and people go like, oh, I don't want to touch it. If he doesn't want to touch it, and he touches it, and he gives it to someone else, and they have to touch it, and how they go, like this, and they're doing this. And by the time it gets to the last person who has to eventually actually have to type that data onto a computer, who wants to touch that thing, right? I mean, it's disgusting. So what we're doing is just skipping all that step, and it just goes directly to the computer. So,
sir, basically we have 1 hour of sessions. I think we are running out. Can we continue?
Okay, we're almost time. Yeah.
Okay.
I have time. I mean,
okay. We do not have
for another day, or
yes, we have
another
we
day.
have time. No, today. Even we can continue if you have time. Basically,
I have
now.
time.
Yes, now,
Yeah.
like we just
let's say a half hour more because I do have to other things now.
okay, very interesting, very interesting. Basically, many interesting things are coming. That's why asking you more questions. Like
Mm-hmm.
here, Asia Pacific markets, there are huge amount of people live here. Like in South Asia, in China, in even many people live here. So what do you think? Like of what we see that. Autonomous vehicles, AIs, and many of the technology actually moving forward. So, what do you think? Many people, many organizations, many labor organizations here, they are feeling threat that okay, we lose our job, so we cannot compete with the AI. Many things actually, even in our show today, like we will invite. Like Asia Pacific's president of human resource management. So, what's your what's your suggestion? Like, what do you think? Is it the genuine
Well,
problem in between HR and AI?
okay, okay. Look at the whole history of the human civilization. Okay,
Yes.
let's go back to 5,000 years ago. Okay,
Mhm.
3,000 BC. There may have been I don't know 300 million people around the world. 300 million people. Okay, 99.9% of those people were complete destitute, poor. They were
Mhm.
just basically grabbing some, whatever, they're holding their hands out for food, whatever it is, they got nothing. Okay. Some people were capable people. They were helping doing trade and performing work of some sort. And then there was, the wealthy and the rich class and the ruling class and all that. And those are very small number. But the vast majority were having no jobs at all. Okay.
Mhm.
Nothing available to do. And if they had a job, basically they had a job with no pay. They were slaves. Okay.
Mhm.
Slavery was basically a job because they don't want to pay you, but you get the benefit of protection. Okay, you
Mhm.
get to live within the compounds of a city, within the city walls. Uh, the king or the whoever of that city or that area protect you. That was your pay, protection, and some enough food for you to live. Okay, that was it. You're not, you don't make good enough money. Okay, that was the way it was for a long time. But if you look at how technology comes in over time, every time we add technology, we get more jobs.
Mhm.
Okay, it's people think that, oh, this technology will kill my job. Well, yes, that technology will kill the job that it is supposed to more efficient. Okay, but in replace of that, you will create more jobs. It always happens. It has always happened every time. Okay, before the automobile came, let's say late 1800s, before the automobile came, you had people who made carriages, right, for horses. They
Mhm.
made the reins and the bridles for the horses. They had people who picked up horse poop, that
Mhm.
swept the streets, that cleaned up the horse poop, and you had people who make the buggy whips to whip the horse, and people who drive these carriages. Okay, those are those jobs, right? Automobile came in, and those jobs disappear. But really, within just a few years on that transition, you got oil mechanics, oil change mechanics, and auto mechanics changing tires, and people who have to teach people how to drive a car, and people who have to refill the oils, and people who, the gas station attendant, because drivers back then didn't know how to fill their own cars. I don't know if you guys did in Malaysia. Do people fill their own cars, or do they have attendants do that?
Yes, yes, yes. So
You
some of the people
you
they
fill
have.
your own cars, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
but for the longest time in the United States, until I think in the mid 1970s, they actually had a person fill the gas for you. You're not
Mhm.
allowed to fill your own car. The gas station attendant did that. Then they got rid of that, and now we have plenty more jobs. And also with the automobile, when the automobile came in, the automobile industry it still is one of the largest industry for employment.
Mhm.
Huge in the United States and other countries. Millions and millions of people working there. And another outcrop of that is the trucking industry. The
Mhm.
trucking industry is the largest employment in the
Mhm.
United States. Like 4 or 5 million people drive trucks. Okay, and how do they? And those are trucks that literally would not be possible if the automobile was not created, because
Mhm.
there ain't no way people can whip a horse. You can have a train of 20 horses. That doesn't matter. You'll never be able to drag enough produce and goods that trucks can do, and you'll never have enough people doing that. For the trucking, to do what the trucking industry does. The trucking industry is not just truckers, right? They're the truckers, the people who load the trucks, the people who unload the trucks, the people who do the logistics and tracking where they are, the people who help move the trucks over, the one that takes the trailer off of one truck and then have another truck come in, pick the new trailer and go on. All those people, the people who maintain the trucks, to maintain the yards where the trucks are, there are thousands and thousands of new trucks that would never have existed if the
Mhm.
automobile didn't come in, right?
Mhm.
So, and how soon did they come in? Pretty soon, right after the automobile came in. It didn't take a long time. Same thing with the airline industry. Once, boom, after World War I, when airplanes became a reality in the sense that they were shooting, they were flying around shooting and all these other stuff, and people go, oh, we can make passenger airplanes. Okay, once passenger airplanes came into being, boom, thousands, millions of jobs came in travel agents and airline ticket agents and airport maintenance people. All these new jobs came in. Okay, so my answer to people who are worrying about it is don't worry about new technology taking away these jobs. If
Mhm.
anything, these people who are working in these fields, tending to workers not knowing, they should be looking at, and they should be begging these startups and these new tech, tell us what you're doing, tell us what you're doing here, and let us test and use your things.
Mhm.
Get those workers testing and using those things.
Mhm.
Okay, that is what you should be doing. You should not be fearful of new technology. You should be embracing them. Okay? The
Mhm.
problem actually is that most of these technologies suck. It's
Mhm.
unfortunate. Most technologies fail because they don't really meet the needs that is happening. But that's what you should do. You should be testing them and telling them why it doesn't meet the need. Okay, maybe the business model is bad, that the price that's charged is not viable, or whatever it is. But explain to the entrepreneurs who are building these new technologies why it's not working, because chances are it's not going to work. Okay,
Mhm.
and then help them make it successful, and then you'll be on the front line and you'll be using them, and you're creating new uses for them that nobody would have thought of. Okay,
Mhm.
nobody would have thought of. Here in
Mhm.
America, we had NASCAR. It was a North American Stock Car Auto Racing Association. Okay, that's auto racing with regular cars. Nobody had thought about that when Henry Ford and other people, when they first built a car, that's like, oh yeah, people will drive around and all that. But racing cars, nobody thought of that. Or demolition derby, which is having cars ram at each other. Demolition. Who would have thought demolition derby would have been a thing? Crazy thing, but people watch and they want to do things like that. So maybe somebody's creating some VR, AR glasses and all that. VR, AR, demolition derby or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out. Crazy things. People will make crazy things if you tell them about it, and just say, throw it in front of the people and say, make something out of this. Do something cool with this. Okay, inspire them. That's the problem. Is that employers and people who work with employees and workers aren't inspiring people.
Mhm.
Inspiration is far more important than tell them to do X, Y, Z. Okay.
Mhm.
Far,
Mhm.
far too often, what I see is boss versus leader.
Mhm.
A boss is a person that says, I want you, Sharif, I want you to do this, then I want you to do this, and I want you to do this. Okay, he tells you to do because he's too busy. He can't do it. He needs someone else to do it. That's a boss. A leader is the one that will tell you, "Hey, this is it. Get it done. You figure out how you want to do this. See if you can do this and make this happen. And if you can do it, see how you can do more of this thing or how you can make this better and all this. Let inspire you to let you be the creative person to figure out that solution on your own and creatively figure it out and go beyond what has to be done. So that I don't just want this done. I want you to see if you can do this and go beyond that and make it so that we can take what you've done and give to people and sell it to other people and see if other people can do that. If you train people in that way and get the people out of the mentality of, oh, I just have to hammer or I just have to turn this screw. Okay. If you get them out of that mentality to, hey, this is more than that. I'm willing to turn the screw because I'm making something. Okay. And I'm going to make it because I have some crazy ideas of what I can do with this. Then that's what's going to happen. Okay. I watch a lot of things on YouTube, and people do all sorts of crazy things on YouTube. Some dangerous, some not so dangerous, but they do some pretty inventive things using regular stuff. That is inspiration. I get inspired by watching these things. That is the thing that you want people to be able to do. Okay. Say, this is a tool. This VR device is a tool. This AR device is a tool. Make use of this tool in ways that even the original inventors of it would never have envisioned. Okay. Figure it out. See how you can do it. Maybe you can't figure it out. Maybe that person can figure it out, but you'll help him test it out. Because, he might have an idea, but he's got to work it around because he hasn't, not perfect and all that. Help him out. Be a part of a team. Do something. That's what you can do to avoid being obsoleted. Okay, and the best way to do this is for some of the more practical things. Okay, the best way to think about it this way is who benefits. Okay. Who benefits from what your current job is? Okay, let's say I am screwing this screw into this device. Okay, all right. Who benefits for me manually screwing this thing in? Okay, it's not Apple because Apple doesn't care how I make this device. Okay, it's the end user. The end user is me, and I use it because I want to be able to talk to you on this device that I'm, I have a MacBook Pro right here in front of me, right? So I have this thing, and the things got screwed in together. Okay, well, if I am a worker that screwed in some of the bolts, that tighten this device, rather than saying, okay, my job is to screw in, 50 of these things an hour or something like that, my job should be, what do I have to do to not only screw in 50? How can I do 500? How can I do 5,000? Okay. Now we probably don't need 5,000 because Apple is not selling 5,000 units, an hour, so they don't need that fast. But what can we do for 500? And if we do 500, how can I do this for other things besides computers and all that? I would like to build an automated screwdriver kind of a thing, right? That's what you do. In fact, they probably have it. Okay, that's the mentality that I want your workers to work on, right? If they're doing something, they should not say, how do I do this? How do I do this again and again and again? It's how can I do this without doing it? How can I automate it? Don't let automation take you over. Create the automation yourself. And then you don't have to do it yourself, and you just have to sit back and let the automation do it. Okay? That's what your workers should be doing. Okay, be proactive. Don't be reactive.
Yes. Very interesting. Very interesting. That's basically this is our target when we develop world talent economy forums. Like example, I have 10, 12 years of experience in working in the the education industry, innovative industries, and the corporation in Asia Pacific markets. And yes, I do integrated with the first world, like in Oxford University and Cambridge University and different things. But I find that this
Mm-hmm.
is the mindset we have issues. And basically, the Asia Pacific market, there is a 50% people is youth, those who are under 30 years old. So our target is that in between next few years, we want to reach 1 million youth, and we want
Mm-hmm.
to integrate it with the technology knowledge. And I know many schools, universities, I work with them, they have 10,000 to 100,000 students. But what about the training of the youth? What about their knowledge integration, this kind of
I,
thing? Because
so
this is the gap, actually. This is
so
the major
yes,
gap.
yeah. So education has to change for sure. Um,
Mhm.
the way I was taught is more or less still the same way that people are being taught now, and that should not be. Okay, we've moved. When I was at school, in order for me to learn to, in order for me to get information, I got to go to the library. I got to search through the files in the box and go that and read it. Read certain books and all these other stuff. Information aggregation, information collection was a huge problem. Getting information is tough. Today, information is coming at us, bad information too, unfortunately. Information is coming at us like a fire hose right into our faces. We have to stop it rather than grab it. We have worlds of information coming at us. Our job now as humans is to discern what is right information, correct information versus misinformation. Okay, there's so many bad information coming at us, and there's plenty of good ones out there. Okay, we need to be able to discern that. That's one thing. And the second thing is, what do we do with the information? That's the useful thing, is what do we do with it? For the longest time, we go to school when we were, when I was a student, we go to school, we were learning how to get the information. Now we don't have to learn how to get it. We can get it. Just go online. You go Google, you go to Wikipedia, boom, 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 and you get that information. You can literally learn anything you want. So the teaching process is no longer there in terms of learning the nitty gritty, the hands-on part. You want to learn how to cook? You go
Mhm.
online, you go on YouTube, and say cook XYZ, whatever you want, and you'll have that shown to you, and you can bring your computer or whatever it is, your iPad, to the kitchen, and you put it there. You can watch it and you can cook it, and you do that 4 or 5 times, and you got it mastered. Okay,
Mhm.
there are free classes, there are paid classes. You want to cook, you can do that. You want to learn how to write a book, there are people that'll teach you how to write a book. You want to learn how to play music, there are people. There's anything in the world, there are people who can teach you how to do it better online than teachers in a school, because
Mhm.
the teachers at schools are still doing it the same way they've been doing it 40 years ago. I went back to UC Santa Barbara, and there are still teachers there that were there when I was there. Okay, they're still alive, for God's sakes. I mean, I expect most of them should be retired, but some of them are still around. Okay, and they're still teaching the same way that they taught back then. Chalkboard. Who's using chalkboard? They're still writing things on chalkboards and still lecturing 1 hour lectures. Why is it 1 hour? All these things that makes no sense. So teachers should go and do something that they can only do, that you cannot do with online learning, and that is to inspire. Okay,
Mhm.
inspiration requires reading the people that you're trying to inspire and seeing if they are getting it. Okay, you have to engage with them one on one, even if it's a room of 50 or whatever. You can see them, you can inspire them, you can teach in a way that is not how to, but why, and light that fire underneath the students. That is what the schools should be doing, and not how to take a derivative of a function, or how to solve this differential equation. You want to learn how to solve a differential equation? There are plenty of YouTube videos to deal with that. Okay, you can, and they're damn good. I've watched some of these videos on YouTube on abstract algebra and geometry and all that. They're graduate level. These are graduate level mathematics, and I'm watching these and I go like, damn, these are better than the teachers I had when I was in graduate school. They explain these things, and they come in nice small 15, 20-minute chunks. Okay, so it's not an hour and a half. It's not 50 minutes, and your eyes don't go like this after a while because you get tired. It's nice small chunks, and it's easily digestible, and it's wonderful. Those things are great jobs in how they do it. And, and the reason it's good is because when you're doing these videos, you get to do it, and then people will say, no, you didn't, the director, the video director will say, no, you didn't do it right. And other people will say, oh, you should say it this way, and you should say it that way. And they get to rehearse and do it until they get it right. Okay. When you're doing it on a chalkboard out in front of the students, even if you've been teaching for 20 years, it's still live, and you can still make mistakes, and you can still drone on and all this other stuff, and it's not that good. So you can't correct on the fly. So the videos are infinitely better than what you can do live. So what is the value of the teacher? The value of the teacher is to give the student the impetus, the will, and the desire to do what they're wanting to do. Okay, that's what the teacher should be doing. Okay, when I actually had the business that I had of my own was teaching fencing. Okay, that's the sword fighting sport, fencing. Okay, and I knew I was not a great fencer. I was never in the Olympics. I never won a national championship. I was a good fencer, not a great fencer. Okay, and I knew that I cannot teach fast enough to get my students to be, competitive at the same rate that the better coaches can do. So, and I did coach, and I did well. I had fencers who won, I had national champions, and I actually had a fencer who became a world champion in the 50 to 59 age group. He became a world champion. But what I did was that I inspired them by saying that don't learn from me and expect that that's all you're going to do. Just get the basics from me, get the basic idea, but I want you to build your own tactics, to build your own strategy, okay, around the basic framework that I'm creating for you. I create the basic framework, the basic how to play this game. That's what I'm going to teach you, is how to play the game. Then I want you to fine-tune it for yourself. Some of you are tall, some of you are short, some of you are a little bit, overweight, some of you are thin. Then you have to have different tactics because of your body shape. Okay, if you're too old, you can't move as fast. Then you have to do certain things. Whatever you have, that's going to be unique to you. Take what I'm telling you, and grow and create out of that. I don't want you to just learn from me and just do this. That's being a boss, right? If I say do this, then that's being a boss. But if I say to you, here's the basic idea, now run with it and do try different things and see what works for you and what doesn't work, and then fine tune what works and correct what doesn't. Then I'm being the leader, because I'm not telling you do this. I'm telling you to figure out what to do. Okay. And I'm leading by doing it myself. Okay. When I'm working with you as a student and figuring it, and I say, oh, it's not working with you, I'm going to try to do something different. And when I was coaching different students, I had different programs for each one. I didn't coach the same way with each one. So it has to be different. And teachers have to do that too. They have to figure out what works with each student and then modify their teaching inspiration and modify what they have to do for each student. And that's how teachers should do it. Okay. They can do, if they want, they can create their own videos. Unfortunately, I don't think they can do as well as the ones that are already out there. The ones out there are new. They've kind of figured out what the pain points are for students for learning. The pain point is, things that are 50 minutes to an hour and a half long as opposed to maybe 10, 15 minutes. And if teachers can't teach in 10 minutes, then they can't compete. So, but they need to know what it is to inspire. Okay, and what I see, the first place for you, if you want to look at where to go for that, go to the music department. Okay, go to the music department at those universities or whatever, and listen and watch how the conductor or usually the conductor lead the orchestra, lead the group. Okay, that person does more in inspiring the people to work and get it. And rather than, oh, this is how you play the violin. He's not doing that, how to play a violin. He's inspiring them to play in a certain way and getting them that. That is what you want to go and talk to. Go to the art department, okay, and talk to the art teachers and getting them to see how they teach art, okay. That is people that you want to see, and apply that methodology to the other fields. That is, I think, if you were to do that, that would be a much better value.
No, it's actually very interesting things. Actually, World Talent Economy Forum, we have a plans to integrate it with more talent peoples around the world, and we want to create a better generations, better futures with with our knowledge, with our skills, and definitely we need your advice, we need your guidelines. Last few minutes, actually, we just want your like at least three
Yeah,
of
I
your
have to finish at
advice.
6.
Yes, three of your advice, uh, like how this global community can move forward from the present pandemic, and how they can go to the next level of civilization.
Um, that's a good question. I don't have I would say, first of all, is to make sure that whoever is in the community, vet those members of this community. Make sure that everybody have the same idea of what you're doing. Okay. What I see often is where people they come in because they don't know what's happening. And this sounds world technology. Oh, it sounds cool, whatever, and they kind of go in, but they don't know what is involved and what it's doing. And then they kind of get they create their little subgroups or something like that. That can happen. And you want to avoid that kind of a thing, right? So you want to make sure that people are bought in to a singular focus of what you want to have, singular vision of what you're going to do. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second is avoid having too many titles for different roles. People say, director of engineering or vice president of this. Don't have titles. Okay, just let people do things, and then they'll naturally get to a certain thing of what they want to do. If you have you have a well-defined mission statement of what you're trying to do, okay, and people buy into it and understand what the end goal is, okay, then it could be tackled from multiple routes, but you're still going to that end goal, okay, and then you can tell whether you're achieving that or not. Okay, that's the thing, is that I belong to various neighborhood associations and groups here in the city, and far too often they have nebulous goals. And when you have a nebulous, not an unfocused goal, then you have no idea if you're achieving it or not. You have no idea if you're going there. And and a lot of it is just waste of my time, because we're sitting there, we're chatting along and nothing happens and so forth. You want to have action, right? So if you have a goal, then that action is to get to that goal. Now, of course, over time you might figure out, oh, okay, maybe that's not the right goal, and you're willing to change. Okay, and some people might say, no, I still like this goal, and then you might splinter off, and that's fine. Not everybody has to be, have to have the same thing. But if you have a goal, go after it. Aim towards that goal, and take incremental steps to achieve it. And that is the most important part. If you don't have those goals, then then you don't know what you're doing. You're just kind of like spinning your wheels, and that is what I see as probably the most. That's the deal killer. That kills inspiration. Okay, and also, and here's the thing too: if you find people that are pushing, and it may not actually go towards that goal, but it's going somewhere, and there's action. Maybe be willing to change your goal to let's say they're aiming in this direction, right? And you want to go in that direction. Well, change your target, move your target to where they're going. So then suddenly you go, yeah, you're going to our new goal, and because you want action. Action is far better than a lot of talking. I'm talking a lot right here. Okay, action. Okay, make things. Create something. Is better. One of the best advice, if you want advice, show, don't tell. Okay, show what you have done. Don't tell what you're going to do. Just show it. Just say, here, we've done this. Okay, best thing to do. Okay.
Okay. This is
You with this WPE, this is show. You've shown it. You've done something here. You're not saying, well, I envision. You're showing it, and that's good. Okay.
Yes, this is very interesting, and we have a lot of youth, and we are trying to make connections of use student community and the young talented peoples. Even example through like those who manage our technical part and everything, they have 200,000 of students. So we have target like in a 1 year we want to reach 1 million of youth peoples, and like you guys from Silicon Valleys and around the world, we need more of your support, more of your advice, more of your inspirations, more of your technical support and your connectivity and productivity.
Sure.
By this way, we want to change the civilization, and we can overcome from the present pandemic.
And it doesn't, and it can happen. Boom!
Yes.
Within
Yes.
2-3 years. People think that, oh, this is going to take years and years and years and years. It is coming so fast now, right? I mean, for actually every person in Malaysia under the age of 20 have no knowledge of a modem. Beep, 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 beep. They have no knowledge of that. Okay, they don't know anything about Ethernet cables. They just don't know anything of these kind of things, and it's just so quick. Okay. So, and if they are willing to take some of the advice that I take, within 2 to 3 years, they will be on this new path. Boom. And then they'll never look back. And that's what you should do. You should just go boom and just go on.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
And I would like to see, whether it's Malaysia or Bangladesh or any Southeast Asia or any other country, okay, here's the opportunity right now. Here in the United States, we're floundering because we don't have a good leader, and we don't know what we're doing and all that. And the various regions are sort of trying to there's a power vacuum, and various regions are trying to take control and all that. You take the focus, and you take it on, and boom, you become the world's leader. Okay. World's leader in technology does not require land. It does not require machinery. It doesn't require anything. It's just the beauty of this is there's no initial barrier of entry. Okay, you got a laptop, you can write code. That's all you really need. Okay, the machinery will come when you need it to come. Okay, you don't need land. You don't need a lot of capital. You need a lot of things that used to be needed beforehand. Now it's like nothing. Take advantage of this opportunity. We have a huge power vacuum, okay, that if you can come in and you do this, and this requires cooperation among other groups in Malaysia. You know, you have wealthy people. The investor class has to participate proactively and be more generous with their investments. Okay, the academics and the institutions, they have to participate and move to the 21st century learning, okay, and education. The corporations, you have corporations in Malaysia. They have to say, yes, we will test your products and services. We will test them. We will use them. Okay, we're not going to say, no, we're going to have to do the same old thing. They have to do that. Okay, and the professional group have to be there to be helpful and not try to squeeze every penny from everyone, because when you squeeze that, you create barriers. You can create unnecessary barriers when you squeeze and say, oh, you pay me $1,000 and I'll help you. You pay me $500 and I'll help you. Things like that just kills industry. It kills entrepreneurship. If you say, I don't want anything right now, you do it, we're going to help you get this successful, okay? When you become successful, I would like to help. Then you can pay me, okay? Things like that. Or give me a small percentage equity, something like that. That's the way you can do it, because that lubricates and reduces the up costs. If you reduce the upfront costs, it makes the stepping stone for one step going, you know, for the entrepreneur to go from one step to the next. It makes it so much easier for them. And you'll have, instead of 1 in 1,000 succeeding, you'll have 10 in 1,000 succeeding. And that's a tenfold increase. And when you have a tenfold increase and investors get a tenfold return because they have tenfold increase, every investor in the world will come to Malaysia to say, hey, how do I get a piece of this? Okay. And then Silicon Valley would be secondary. They go, Silicon Valley, you get a 3 turn. So, you know, Malaysia is where you're going to get the 10x return. You know, then everybody's going to go to Malaysia. That's the way it goes. People follow where the money grows.
Yes, definitely. So this is actually very inspirational session for us, and we are actually very motivated. We want to do more work with you. We want more of your support. We want to invite you in our
I
conference.
am happy. I would love to show up. I would love to show up, and I would love to be. I don't know if I can fly out there, though. I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to fly into Malaysia. I don't know if I'm allowed to fly out of America. So, and you know, right now nothing is happening, so I have no idea what what that means in terms of flying.
We introduce you through this talent economy forum, World Talent Economy Forums. There are many policymakers, many corporations, governments, peoples, everybody, even in cyber giants.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I don't have to fly in, right? I mean, I can do a Zoom call, and we can get everything done this way.
Yes,
so just make sure that we get the timing right, so we don't have, we don't have a 4 a.m. kind of a call or something. So okay, I do have to go. I have to get things done. So I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Eric Dews. So this is a very nice discussions, and stay safe. And we will make a very good change in this world, and we will definitely overcome from this situation. That is the prayer, and that is the things we are trying to do right now.
If you just tell people that they can do it, then they will do it. That is so. I never believed how true it is until when I started teaching fencing, and I said, you can do it, and they did it. Okay. And it's that those that when I started, I had the same bias like anyone else, and I look at some people and I go like, this person is going to do it, and I didn't say that they can do it, and they didn't do it. Okay, and it's really funny is I got to give you one anecdote. So I had this one girl, she didn't want to do fencing. Her mom wanted her to do fencing. She came in and she was just not good at it, and she took everybody's enthusiasm down. She was slow. She didn't want to run. She took everything down. Everybody kind of felt kind of bleh because of her. And so what can I do? I can't kick her out or anything. They pay me. So, but I was trying to discourage her so that she would leave on her own. And eventually she did leave. And then after she left, he was gone. No problem. The others, picked up and got excited again, and everything was happening. And then a year or two later, she showed up again, and she wanted defense again. And this time, she actually wanted defense, and I put her in, kind of taught her, and I kind of saw that she had more interest in all that, and I kind of said, "Yeah, you're doing really well," and she did well, and she got better. But then by that time, I sold my business, but she got engaged because I said, "You can do it," and then she did it. Okay, it is far too often people can't do it because they don't think they can do it. Okay, I don't want you to lie to people. Okay, I don't want you to lie to people to say you can do it. Okay, because there's a lot of charlatans out there, a lot of people, scammers and all that, say you can do it and all this and that. Don't follow that bullshit. Okay, you gotta be honest to people, say you can do it. It ain't easy, but you can do it. Okay, and you have to suffer through the whole thing. You have a PhD, I got a PhD. You got to suffer through the whole thing, but if you want to do it, you can do it. And there's no limitations. The only limitation are the laws of physics. Okay, I cannot jump 50 feet in the air and come back down. I cannot do it. Okay, and nobody's going to tell me I can do it. Okay, outside of laws of physics, there's no other laws that prevents you from doing things. Okay, so you can do it.
Yes.
Make it happen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Eric Hughes, and it's a very nice discussions, and thank you from core of my heart and from our community. Hopefully, we will do it. We will definitely do it. Thank you,
Definitely.
Thank you. Yes,
okay.
Thank you.
All
yes.
right.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know why I turned. Okay.